In a world that keeps on accelerating, becoming more digital and more global, so do the threats. They're getting more and more complex, more global and organized than ever before. With one small click, your world can freeze. Orange Cyber Defense is here. Our 30 years of experience within Orange have raised us to a leading position in the European cybersecurity market. We accompany all organizations from multinationals to small and medium businesses, companies, factories, institutions, entrepreneurs, and individuals. Our foundations are European, our presence is global, and we act locally. With our cyber centers based in 22 countries, we cover the world. Our multidisciplined experts protect all your digital experiences, because above all, cybersecurity is a human journey. That's where our cyber experts make the difference, always thinking out of the box. Our hacking spirit, combined with our services and our technical expertise leveraging AI, provide a unique cyber threat intelligence to deliver the ultimate end-to-end approach. We are committed to build a safer digital society. We are Orange Cyber Defense.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on such a short notice. I'm Medina Maglione. I'm head of customer marketing here at Orange Cyber Defense, and I'd be aware that the session is recorded and we will be sharing the recording by end of today. Now, we're here because in the last few hours and days, the cybersecurity community has been shaken by unsettling news. The very foundation of our shared vulnerability tracking system, the CVE program, is under pressure. The US federal funding is confirmed to have extended for another 11 months. But what does that mean and what happens next? And why does it matter? It matters because CVEs are not just identifiers. They are the way we communicate, prioritize, and respond to risks. And right now, the system is under strain. And we're also in a moment where we're experiencing an overwhelming amount of vulnerabilities. Just this year, our teams have tracked over 32,000 CVEs. And that's just from our own customer data. Now, are we talking about a seismic shift in how we manage vulnerabilities, or is this a temporary crisis that we'll have to adapt to like we always do? Now, that's why we're here to, this is what we're here to unpack. And I've asked two experts from the CERT to join and answer, and give us an overview, but also answer your most burning questions. So I'm delighted to introduce Wilfried Pascoe, who is Vulnerability Watch Department Manager at Orange Cyber Defense. Wilfried prefers to keep his identity hidden, hence you won't see him on camera. And he's been on the forefront of our research into vulnerability prioritizations and on the evolution of standards like CVSS and EPSS. I'm also delighted to introduce Pierre-Yves Amiot. He is head of CERT transversal activities, which means he is responsible for the operations of our incident response, cyber threat intelligence, and cybercrime monitoring. Both Pierre and Wilfried will guide us through the current state and future of the CVE and NVD programs, tell us about the broader impact on vulnerability management strategies, and most importantly, tell you what you should be doing to maintain that resilience in the face of uncertainty in these times of uncertainty. Hopefully you'll go away from this webinar, or you'll come away from the webinar with clarity, perspective, and guidance on how to navigate these times. So let's dive in. First of all, Pierre-Yves, Wilfried, thank you so much for joining. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Thanks, Medina.
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks for taking the time this morning. Pierre-Yves, I'd like to start with you. Would you like to maybe start by giving us an overview and tell us, start from the beginning, let's say, and then we'll move on to Wilfried for some of the details.
Yeah, sure. Of course, we need to understand what is MITRE and what is MITRE Corporation at first to understand what we are speaking about. So first, MITRE Corporation is the US not-for-profit organization. which mainly deals with projects for the DoD, the Department of Defense in the United States, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. It is mainly funded by the US National Cybersecurity Division, which is really important because at the end we will understand why this fund is important. We know MITRE for a lot of projects, especially in cybersecurity, for example, for the common weakness enumeration and the famous top 25 dangerous software weaknesses, the ATT and CK framework, which is used, for example, in order to understand how a campaign, a cyber campaign, is scheduled and is divided. And it is also known for other projects and other initiatives, such as the CAPEC, the OVEL, and especially the CVE, the Common Vulnerability Exposure, and this is what we will speak about. So then we need to understand what is the CVE. The mission of the CVE program is to identify, to define, and to catalog publicly disclosed cybersecurity vulnerabilities. This system is at the core of the vulnerability infrastructure, and it is operated since 1999. It helped all the organizations to track vulnerabilities between the vendors and the products, and this is why in this spaghetti diagram, we understand that there is a large ecosystem, and the CVE is at the core of this one. Then we need to understand what happened in the last few days and in the last few hours. So at first, 2 days ago, we identified, and there was some kind of leakage of an official statement from MITRE to the board members saying that the funding expires. So why this budget, why this funding expired? There is a lot of questions about it, but at the end, the CVE program ended, and it was a surprise and major shock for all IT security ecosystem. In the coming hours and yesterday, there were a lot of questions about this, and we identified a few initiatives in order to continue the work of the CVE and to track vulnerabilities with the EU, European Union, VD, for example, the Circle, etc. And finally, yesterday in the afternoon, the CISO finally confirmed that the contract has been extended for 11 months. So next, Wilfried, what if it didn't occur?
Yeah, thanks, Ferry. Yeah, the contract has been renewed, but what if? Because it's some kind of issue we didn't face it yet. But yeah, but what if the CV has been renewed? What if what is the core of the ecosystem? So yeah, CV is two things: the standard to prioritize to have some unique identifier, and the database through the CVE.org website. What if the CVE.org website and API stopped impact are multiple from CNA to the NVD? So for CNS or CNA proxies, which are able to assign CVEs for their organization or for additional products. So CNA products are using the CVE.org web API to help enterprise to retrieve information through the API, not from their own API. They provide as well some CV information, new CV, updated CV through the GitHub publication. So without the program, no information anymore on the GitHub through the CNA, no CV assigned anymore by Dimitri, but CNA can take the lead after Dimitri to assign CNA for 2025, so we can have some backup plan for 2025. And as well onto the NVD, because NVD is facing some issues since 18 months from now, not analyzing anymore some vulnerabilities and no CVSS scoring. And today the NVD is just ingesting as a data from the Dimitri website. So without the Dimitri CV website, NVD is real dead. So no information. NVD is just handling the CVE database only. We had some we might have some additional consequences, such as the APSS scoring system, because APSS algorithm is using all CVE database information, such as description, its references, CVSS code added into the JSON format of the API. So yeah, APSS might be facing of some trouble. We don't have it. So it's good for that. For the ecosystem, of course, because a lot of company is using CVE for the vulnerability coordination process. So this process might be put at risk. The CVE assignment by CNA, not for 2025, but in 2026. What if there's no renewed in 2026 for CNA? What will be the future? We have the consequences for additional enterprises which is using the CVE for scanners, for example, for signature, because for signature you need a CVE to track the issue, etc. So this is the whole ecosystem which is linked with this kind of issue. And of course, mainly the enterprise will ingest CVE, not just from the CVE database, from any database for their vulnerability management. So yeah, any company might be at risk without the CVE program. But yeah, what's the big deal? It has been renewed. So we're pretty happy. All ecosystem is happy because the CISO paid the bill. Yeah, but only for 11 months. So there's not shown any real stability, no any future, no big information. So yeah, the CISO said, yeah, we're fine, we renewed, we enjoyed it. CVE is important for us, but just facing. So ITSec world was in shock without any proper workarounds, backup plan. So we need to face on and to move forward to be sure we won't face any kind of trouble without shutdown from CVE. We showed, as Pei said, we showed some replacement solution announced by the Circle for the GCV, but our Orange Cyber Defense, we don't think it's a pretty good solution, but no as keep as this solution. We saw the CVE Foundation as well, created by some guy of the board, CVE board. It's not an official solution. It's not an official decision by CVE board, but just from rogue guy from the CVE. It might be interesting with this kind of solution, and I just gonna explain it just after that. And yeah, U.S. government was a solution today. They saved the world one more time, but just yet from 2025 and for 2026, what we're going to have, maybe zero. It's really depend on the political issue because we know for sure US is facing a lot of budget cuts, and it's maybe one more budget cuts we're facing on for the military. Military is a big budget, and what if the user government just saying, okay, we don't have to pay for the whole world for just handling a program which all world is using. So why do we have to pay for that? And it's fair, to be honest. But can we find solution? Yes. So as I said, maybe the CVE program might be handled by NGO such as the CVE Foundation. It could be very interesting. It could be funded by the whole IT ecosystem, such as a subscription like the first is doing today. It's working pretty well. Another solution could be the CNA organized as an association through putting the money, people, and competence as a leading an association. For us, splitting the programs into solutions, so GCVE, CNNVD, splitting the solutions is not a pretty good way to handle that. Or we can organize a new webinar in the next 11 months to say, okay, we didn't find any solution, we're stuck in the middle, we don't have any backup plan, but we have 11 months as a IT ecosystem to find a proper solution, to find the funding, to have a backup plan as a US government. But yeah, we receive many questions related to that. Is it really critical for OCD if there is no CVE database? Almost. It's not none, but almost none. There's two different ways to do watch through the CVE and NVD, proper way, easy way, free way. Or you can do the job. Vendors advisory, git compare, changelog, analysis code, conferences. So today we have almost non-impact at Orange Cyber Defense. So just to explain how we're working, yeah, we have a CV database. We're just checking every day what has been added, but by default, all information has been already added on the site because we have a global view of the situation through changelogs, advisory, get compare, conference, private list, different certs in the world through the first organization, many partners, including vendors and customers. And we have a lot of people we're researching vulnerability. So internal disclosure is a big part of the data we have. Just putting just a small tab explaining what's the difference between the MITRE CV database. I'm not just talking about the CV standard, but the CV database, what is included into it, and what we include today into our Vulnerability Intelligence Watch service. Just put a screen if you want just to have it. I won't explain all the information into it. Just give you a few seconds to take a screenshot for that. If you have any question related to the service, you can ask a question if you want. And with that, I just move forward very quickly because we just keep some time to answer question, if there's some question into the panelists.
Yes, Wilfried, we do have a question come in from Antonio Radu. He's asking, what are your thoughts on the European Vulnerability Database, EUVD? Do you think we should shift towards using the EUVD this year?
It's an interesting question. We didn't take this topic because today was a CV, but UVD is very interesting because we had some talk with the UVD team during Vulcan 2024 last year, and they were about the NVD situation, and there were of a lot of EU company which using the NVD to retrieve information from the vulnerability and say, okay, we have to create a European dedicated way to have all of vulnerability in the same way and to provide information freely to companies. Is it the only solution? Don't think so. Is it replacing the CV? Not at all. Is it interesting for the vulnerability? Yes, for the vulnerability management, but they are not handling all the issue and all the vulnerabilities. So they are focusing on the all people and not all the budget and all the resources to handle all of vulnerabilities. But it's one part of the solution.
I have another question, Wilfried. Hopefully you can answer. It's why is the US government the only one funding the MITRE?
I guess it's a historical issue. We just can say US government led a lot of projects which improved the whole ITsec process. And with the US government, MITRE has been created, has been funded, and we have all the standards we have today thanks to US, I guess, because no other country funded this kind of organization. But today we're facing a lot of political issue, budget cuts, and yeah, of course, a lot of program organization funded 100% by US are in the middle of all the crisis because why US has to pay for everyone in the world? It's a good question, and why it's not replaced by everyone like the first? It's a question for 2025 because US has not to pay for everyone.
That's a really good point. We'll get an answer. We'll have a webinar in 6 months, maybe. Hopefully we'll have an answer. So look, someone is asking to go back one slide. They want to just capture again.
Oh yeah.
With a screenshot. And I've got another question for you that's come in, Sam Smet. Will there be short-term complications with CVE, like a lack of updates or something?
If we're talking about updates, it's not the lack of update on CVE. We have some delay on CVE as well. We have on the NVD, but CVE is just some delay of a couple days. NVD is a delay of a couple months or years. So I don't think there's a big issue on CVE database. Yeah, there is some delay, but most of the time is delay between the CNA publication and the publication on CVE database.
And Megan is asking, could you elaborate a bit more on why the EUVD is not a viable replacement solution?
Oh, NVD, let's talking straight. NVD is almost dead. They don't have the budget anymore to handle all the mess of the vulnerability because the historical view of NVD was to analyze on their own the vulnerability, to know exactly what's the real impact, the real score of each advisory of each vulnerability. But as you know, we're facing a lot of vulnerability here, increasing every year, and they cannot facing this topic anymore because they had a lot of delay to analyze vulnerability. They tried through the AI program of NIST, but they didn't find a proper solution. They asked for additional budget to handle all vulnerabilities, and the Commerce Department say no, we don't have any budget. They asked to DHS. DHS says no, we have a budget for CISO, not for you. And the NVD said, okay, on 2024, we're going to have just to shut down the whole analysis and to work on another additional program. So if we're shutting down the CVE, yes, of course, CNA might be able to send the information to as an NVD database, but just to have one information in all the big picture, because there's no it's not a big topic saying CISA is not in good relationship with the NVD for the database, and not the CISA won't work with the NVD to handle the enrichment, etc. So might be a solution, NVD, yes, because it's taking credit from multiple companies, but they don't have the resources and the budget to handle the data. So as I said, I guess more interesting solution is to create an NGO or an association from all ITsec community to handle the CVE program, to keep the CNA logic, to help the central organization to give CVE and to keep the CVE because it's taking credit since 25 years from now.
Sounds good. I've got another question. Arjun is asking, has the NATO claimed in as well? Are you aware?
I didn't understand the question.
Has the NATO?
Yeah, the NATO what?
Oh, claimed.
I don't get it.
Maybe claimed to participate in the funding. Maybe we can
Oh,
ask
yeah.
Arjun to.
Maybe, but the NATO, as you know, US is not a very good relationship with NATO today, and I don't think NATO has to be part of it because NATO is basically not ITsec organization. So I think the best solution is all IT company which is using the CVE program, such as the CNA, because we have almost 450 different organizations acting as a CNA. So if all this organization would be able to just put in the middle some money to fund the CVE program, to say, okay, we'll be able to keep the program independent without any public resources from the US government, we'll be able to have a big step to improve the CVE program, and to be sure the CVE program will be acting as a major service in the future. I don't think NATO is one on the solution. Maybe if you have some money to put in the middle, yeah, it could be nice as well.
So we've got some other questions. Faris is asking, is there a risk that private sector solutions could eventually outpace the CVE program if public trust continues to erode?
As I said, there's two different things: the CVE as a standard and the CVE as a database. For the CVE as a standard, private sector won't replace it because CVE is the is a central standard used by private sector. For the scanners from company like us, because we have a vulnerability database and we're using CVE as a CVE. Without the CVE standard as a standard, it will be very difficult to track vulnerability in time. If we talking about CVE database, private sector is one part of the answer because we have resources, we have time, we have money to improve the tracking system. So today at Orange Cyber Defense, we are handling almost 5,000 products. It's not all the product in the world, but we are doing pretty well, I guess, because we're able to track vulnerability not in just in easy way through a public database, but as I explained, through different kind of sources. And with that, we're able to track vulnerability not just for the impact with the CVSO score and the description, but tracking time with threat actors in exploitation in the wild, exploitation code published, indicator of compromise related to an exploitation of the vulnerability. So we have all ecosystem around one vulnerability to give you the big picture and not only from one description as effects and a CVSS score. It's more complex than that.
And Wilfried, I've got a question here. Are you familiar with the new independent CVE Foundation?
Yeah,
That was announced by a subset of the CVE board.
I just explained a few minutes before about the CVE Foundation funded by rogue people from the CVE board. So it's not an official decision from the CVE board, but some of them decided just to explain to the world how it could be very interesting to have an independent organization to handle the CVE program. And it's I guess it's the same way I explained just before related to the what can be done to have an NGO to handle the CVE program. So they created the CVE organization. It's not an official organization. They are not doing today nothing, but just a way to do that, just to explain to the world, okay, we can create this to handle the CVE program, to merge all the money, all the company wants to share to handle this program, to just not counting to the US Department to fund only the CVE program. So yeah, CVE Foundation is not an official one, but it could be a good way, a good answer of 2026 to be sure the CVE program will live after 2026, even if the US doesn't want to fund the CVE program.
That's good. Brown says, I agree US government doesn't need to bear the cost of this, all of it. But what concerns me, him, more was the unexpected nature of this decision. Are there any other US government services that are at risk of being cut that will have the same or even a bigger impact on the whole sector world? I'm not sure Wilfried can answer all of that, but maybe we can come back. What do you think, Wilfried?
I guess if we have the answer, we need to put some money in the middle because no one can know except the US Gov what will be next in the budget cut. Yeah, today it might be the NVD, but a few weeks ago it was the CISO saying, okay, CISO is taking too much money to operate, so we have to took some budget cut. And CISO saying, okay, no, today what's okay, we operating today and we are independent, even if the US Gov doesn't want us to monitor Russian operation, etc., etc. So there is too many risks in many departments, and there is no official, I guess, answer that can be done for that. but everything is possible with this government. But it's a thing. US today funding a lot of organization, and I don't think it's a good way for program like CVE, which is used by the worldwide. So that's why we have to find another solution and for the future.
Wilfried, because it's asking if there are no common vulnerability reference/ID that the industry treats as a standard, what does that mean for the businesses and governments?
I don't think I just understood correctly the question.
No worries. Maybe we can ask Vikas to just rephrase it and then we'll answer it later. In the meantime, someone else, Hans, is asking, will this somehow have an impact on CVSS too?
No, CVSS is pretty independent, not like EPSS, which EPSS is needed some information from CVE database. For CVSS, it's very independent. Yes, we have CVSS cores into the CVE database, but CVE is just a unique ID to track a vulnerability. A CVSS is used to know exactly is the vulnerability is critical or not, based on several metrics. So no, totally independent the CVSS is not funding by US government. This is part of the first organization, like EPSS. EPSS is a part of the first organization as well. So there's no risk for CVSS and EPSS. Basically because people working on CVSS and EPSS are not paid for that.
Let me see this one. Luckily, CVE program was extended. Do you think the vulnerability management industry will work towards a neutral platform supported/funded by industry in the next 12 months?
A vulnerability platform, I don't think so, because to analyze a lot of vulnerability, we need people, and it's a big price. I don't think so. But to handling the program properly into a centralized way through an NGO, through CNR, organized as an association, I think so. I had some discussion with guys into some US companies in the last couple of hours, and yes, they're pretty aware of the situation, and they're pretty agree of the way the old company needs to put money in the middle to handle the situation and not facing as another risk on 2026. So Cisco provided an official statement yesterday night, I guess, to say, okay, we saw the issue. We agree about the centralized, not funded by US government organizations such as an NGO. So they named CV Foundation. So it could be an answer. And Cisco in all way will be part of any solution. So it's one official solution from one big vendor, and I think all the vendor will have the same logic, by putting an official statement for that. So Microsoft, Red Hat, Oracle, etc. So they need CV, so they are gonna have to respond on this kind of issue.
Okay, I've got time for maximum 2 more questions. I've got Robert here is asking, should we be moving to a model where CVE is just one signal in a multi-source vulnerability intelligence factory?
It's a pretty hard question to answer, because CVE was the answer to help company to track vulnerability, because you have to explain, before CVE we didn't have any way to track vulnerability, and we didn't know if the vulnerability in product A impacted the product B in product C. So that's why CVE has been created. Is CVE today the solution for all vulnerability? No, because we have almost 30% of vulnerability without any CVE. Why? Because some vendors didn't want to assign CVE because to not put in the light there is a vulnerability in the product. So we have to track vulnerability without any CVE. So CVE database is not part of the solution. Company like us as a part of solution because we're tracking vulnerability without any CVE, but we putting and we sending notification to customers saying, okay, this version is fixing vulnerability, but you won't find any CVE because there is no CVE. The vendor is not asking CVE. The vendor doesn't want any CVE, and this is one issue we're facing since 25 years, and it will be the same for the next 25 years. One unique identifier is required to track vulnerabilities, but in some way we can track, not in the easiest way, vulnerability without any CVE. Do we have to create another unique CVE concurring the CVE program? The Chinese guys tried with the CNNVD, with a CNNVD unique identifier. It's not working well because they're using CVE as well in the advisory to help the Chinese companies to track vulnerability because they're using, yes, some are using US or European products, so they need CVE as well to track vulnerability because US and EU is not using CNNVD. So by adding and to creating splitted programs, splitted standards for each country, each continent is not the solution. We have to take and to work together with one solution and one solution with backups and workarounds in case of the funded is not renewed.
Thanks, Wilfried. I'll just take the last question. Vickers clarified his point. What he meant was CVE ID is the common reference at the moment. Do you believe that this will remain the industry standard?
I guess it was the same. It will be the same answer as the last question because
Okay, sorry.
today is a standard. Some country like Russia, China created their own way to track vulnerability with an internal ID. We have the European Union with added so UNV UVD ID in addition as the CVE. Are this program will be part in the middle in the next 20 years? We don't have the answer. In the next 20 months, I don't think so because CVE is too much important for the industry. Industry using CVE since 25 years. So we just have to have a backup plan to help the program to live on after 2026. But I think the industry know the severity of the issue, and if they have to fund to give some money to be sure the program will be extended, I guess they will do it.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank our experts, Wilfried and Pierre-Yves, for taking the time today. And thank you to everyone who joined. Sorry for the last minute notice. Please note there was no, we didn't want to create any panic at all. We just wanted to offer a really informative, purely informative and informal webinar because there were several questions that came in from customers and also from press. So thank you so much. And if you have any other questions, unfortunately, I do need to close the webinar now. Do email us. I dropped the email. It's info@orangecyberdefense.com, and I will forward those questions to Wilfried and answer back. So thank you so much and wish you a lovely day and happy Easter. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone.